Let's go Dolphins! The Miami Dolphins may be closer to a seismic shift than any of us imagined. I'm talking about a move that would shock the league, divide fans, and end a decades-long Super Bowl drought. There's a name, a legendary name, that has suddenly resurfaced. A coach who has never had a losing season. A Super Bowl champion. And yes, there are already rumors that the Dolphins are in contention. There's a twist that could cost Miami a valuable draft pick. There's tension growing in the front office. And there's a real possibility that this move could backfire or put us directly in the Super Bowl race. I'll explain all of that to you. But before we dive deep into this Dolphins story, if you're a true fan, if you've ever yelled at the TV during a game decided by a single possession or worn the blue and orange in enemy territory, click the like button right now and leave a comment below saying, "Go, Dolphins! We're ready for the next era. Let's go!" The news that shocked the NFL world. Mike Tomlin, the iconic head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, is stepping down after 19 seasons. But make no mistake, this wasn't a firing. Tomlin walked away on his own terms after the Steelers were eliminated at home by the Houston Texans. And now, the rumors are swirling that Miami might be one of the teams interested in bringing him in as the next head coach. Yes, you heard that right. Mike Tomlin. Could he really be roaming the sidelines in South Florida? Here's the kicker. Tomlin isn't technically a free agent. Because he wasn't fired, Pittsburgh still holds his contract rights. Any team that wants to hire him, Miami included, would have to trade for him. So, while he might be available, it's not that simple. But that hasn't stopped the speculation. And there's plenty of reason to believe the Dolphins would be interested. Let's rewind. Back in 2007, when the Dolphins were on the hunt for a new head coach, Tomlin was on their radar. They passed on him, and he went on to win a Super Bowl with the Steelers in 2008 and never posted a single losing season in nearly 2 decades. That decision still haunts the Dolphins organization, especially Stephen Ross, who reportedly regrets not hiring Tomlin to this day. Now fast forward to 2026, and the Dolphins might get a second chance. Or will they? Reports from respected insiders like Tom Pelissero of NFL Network and Jones Cena Anderson suggest Miami will at least kick the tires on the possibility of bringing Tomlin to South Beach. But there's a major twist. Many insiders, including Adam Schefter, believe Tomlin won't coach in 2026. Instead, the expectation is he'll follow the Sean Payton route, take a year off, join a major TV network like ESPN or Fox as a pregame/postgame analyst, then re-enter coaching with a refreshed mindset in 2027. That throws a big wrench into Miami's plans. But even if Tomlin isn't available in 2026, his presence in the coaching free agent pool could have a domino effect that works in Miami's favor. Think about it. If teams like the Giants or Falcons aggressively pursue Tomlin, other elite coaching candidates like John Harbaugh might slip through the cracks, giving the Dolphins a better shot at landing one of them. Miami could benefit from the chaos without even making a move on Tomlin himself. Let's talk about Harbaugh for a moment. Like Tomlin, he boasts a Super Bowl ring and a 61% career win percentage. Both are considered top-tier candidates, and if Tomlin is 1A, Harbaugh is 1B. If the Dolphins don't land Tomlin, but other teams pivot hard to chase him, Miami might end up being Harbaugh's best landing spot. That scenario isn't far-fetched. It's a very real possibility. But here's the controversial part. If Tomlin were to coach in 2026, would it make sense for Miami to trade for him? Some suggest a scenario where Miami gives up its 11th overall pick and gets Tomlin plus the Steelers' 21st pick in return. But that's a risky move, and not everyone's on board with that strategy. Trading valuable draft capital for a coach, even one as consistent and respected as Tomlin, raises serious questions about Miami's confidence in its ability to hire a coach outright. Think about it. Do you really want to part with top draft assets for a coach when there are other high-quality candidates available without giving up a thing? That's the question Dolphins fans and front office execs need to answer. History shows trades for coaches can work. Bill Belichick to New England, John Gruden to Tampa Bay, but it's far from a guaranteed success. So maybe Miami plays the long game. Maybe they hold tight, let other teams chase Tomlin, and then swoop in to land a top-tier coach who gets overlooked in the frenzy. Because while Tomlin may be the flashiest name on the market, the Dolphins need more than just a big name. They need someone who can elevate this talented roster and finally push them to the Super Bowl. But coaching isn't the only area getting a facelift in Miami. The front office is already undergoing major changes. The Dolphins have parted ways with assistant GM Marvin Allen, who's been in the building since 2019. He's joined by John Eric Sullivan, and the overhaul is on. Sullivan is expected to build a staff around his vision, pulling trusted people from his past, particularly from his time with the Green Bay Packers. And it's already starting. Sullivan brought in Omar Brown, a 25-year-old safety who spent last season on the Packers practice squad. He's been signed to a futures contract with Miami, giving him a shot to make the roster during off-season workouts and training camp. Moves like this might seem minor, but they show Sullivan is putting his stamp on the team immediately. Expect more names like Brown to follow, players and personnel who fit Sullivan's mindset and philosophy. The Dolphins are at a crossroads, both on the field and in the front office. What happens next could define this franchise for the next decade. The head coaching hire, in particular, could be the most pivotal decision Stephen Ross and company make since they passed on Mike Tomlin nearly 20 years ago. And let's pick up right where we left off, because this coaching conversation is far from over. If we're being honest, the idea of trading draft picks for a head coach has always sparked debate across the league. Some say it's reckless, others say it's the price of winning. And when it comes to Mike Tomlin, that debate gets even more intense. On one hand, you're talking about a guy who has never had a losing season in 19 years. That kind of consistency is almost unheard of. He's earned respect across the league, players love him, and he brings credibility to any organization the moment he walks in the door. But on the other hand, what has that consistency really gotten him in the last decade? No playoff wins in his last 4 appearances, a Super Bowl drought that stretches back to 2008, and several seasons where his Steelers teams looked elite on paper but couldn't finish strong in the postseason. That's the concern in Miami. Do the Dolphins really want to gamble a premium draft pick on a coach who's known for stability but hasn't delivered the kind of playoff success this franchise is starving for? This team is not in rebuild mode. This is a Dolphins roster that's built to win now. You've got stars like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle on offense, and a defensive unit with key talent. What they need is a coach who can push them over the edge, not one who keeps the ship afloat. That's the big question with Tomlin. He's the ultimate floor raiser, but is he a ceiling lifter? And let's not ignore the fact that even if Tomlin did want to coach in 2026, there's no guarantee he'd choose Miami. The Giants, Falcons, even the Panthers, all teams that could make a hard push for his services. And that's why Miami needs to have a clear, aggressive backup plan. Because if Tomlin ends up in New York or Atlanta, you don't want to be left scrambling. That's where John Harbaugh re-enters the conversation. If the Dolphins can't land Tomlin, and if they wisely decide not to trade for him, then Harbaugh becomes the guy. Everything we're hearing indicates that Miami is in a strong position to make a serious run at him. And remember, if Tomlin ends up somewhere else, Harbaugh could very well fall right into Miami's lap. That's why this coaching market is so fluid. Every decision by one team creates a ripple effect that impacts everyone else. Let's not forget about some of the other intriguing names either. Robert Saleh, Kevin Stefanski. All solid coaches, each with their own strengths. Saleh brings a defensive mindset and leadership that players respond to. Stefanski is an offensive innovator who's done more with less in Cleveland. If Miami is locked out of the top tier, those guys could emerge as very real options. But here's where things get even more fascinating. This head coaching search isn't happening in a vacuum. It's happening while the Dolphins are also rebuilding their front office, and that rebuild is already underway. With Marvin Allen out and John Eric Sullivan stepping in as GM, this is quickly becoming Sullivan's show. And if you think that doesn't matter in the head coach hiring process, think again. Sullivan's vision for the Dolphins is going to shape every major decision from this point forward. Who he hires as head coach, what kind of players he targets in the draft and free agency, how he restructures the scouting department, all of that is now being driven by a man with deep ties to the Green Bay Packers, a franchise known for stability, smart drafting, and long-term planning. Already, we're seeing Sullivan start to bring in his guys, including safety Omar Brown, a player he knew from Green Bay's practice squad. Brown's signing may not move the needle for fans, but it signals something bigger. Sullivan is building the roster from the bottom up, adding pieces who fit his culture. And when you start with culture, that's when real transformation happens. You can expect more of these kinds of signings, under-the-radar players who may not make headlines, but who reflect the type of organization Sullivan wants to create. Tough, smart, hardworking, accountable. That's the direction this team is heading. And if they match that front office philosophy with the right head coach, watch out. Now let's tie it all together, because this is about more than just one move. This is a franchise at a pivotal moment. The Dolphins are standing on the edge of something big. With the right leadership, both in the front office and on the sidelines, this team could finally turn the corner and become a true Super Bowl contender. But it has to be the right fit.